We actually set our own prices. So we don't accept insurance. So we actually do accept Medi-Cal now, but it wasn't always the case. It's usually private pay. And when I say private pay, what I mean is we're dealing with a population that still has pensions. There's savings. They were purchasing homes when they were $80,000 and now selling them for $800,000. We have families who pitch in and help support the care needs of the resident. And then there's also long-term care insurance that helps provide for the resident in this type of setting. So because we are licensed, we're allowed to accept all of that.
Who's this? Oh, you're an entrepreneur? Oh, you're a real estate investor. Oh, you're trying to learn from those who did it. Well, come into the lab then. Put your white coat on, gloves on, notepad, and let's build, y'all.
Rich is a good buddy of mine, and I'm in this mastermind and everything, and I didn't want to let the serendipity go to waste when I saw kind of the stuff you guys were doing out there. So pleasure to virtually connect.
Right.
Yeah, likewise. We're excited to be here.
Absolutely. I didn't know I get the two of you too.
Yeah.
Oh, was it just Boris? Because I can go with something else.
Oh, no. It's funny because my wife is downstairs. Oh, we actually started business together, and I can't wait to share with you guys that the similarities that I see in this, what you guys are doing in our industry. I'll tell you a little bit about why I was so excited to have you on, because I was like, wait a minute, this is like very, like we're in a very niche space, and so when you meet other people in a niche space, we're like, hold on, like there's so many layers in this real estate thing. So I'll give you guys some quick background for context, but then I want to get into this with you guys, and respectfully, we have a 1 hour to spend 58 minutes now. So that work?
Yeah, works for us.
Awesome. What's your connection with Rich, by the way?
So first, I'm going to say you're lying because you're saying you work with your spouse. You have hair. I'm just
Listen, I don't have kids yet.
So, you got to prove it to me because everybody thinks it's really easy to work with your spouse.
No,
we just make it look. I'm just kidding. I'm just.
No, that's so funny. You know what it is? It's maybe we don't have kids yet, but no, it's you're like, there it is, there it is. No, honestly, my wife and I'm so grateful because I know it's a blessing to work with your partner, and we've been together for 14 years. And I pulled her into this real estate thing, and she is just doing wonders for us. She's our COO, and it's really neat. We have huddles every day. We try to separate work and play, but it's just like everything is like, it's an integrated lifestyle, well-integrated lifestyle. So it's really neat.
No, jokes aside, there's a lot of things coming out that if you want to build true wealth, is you have working with your spouse is the key.
Yes.
And I am blessed to have someone, as a matter of fact, she's the one, I give her the credit. She comes from an entrepreneurial family. So do I, but mainly her, where we started in this venture and this whole journey. And so I give her tons of credit for that. So
yeah,
the visionary, she's the operator, but I mean, it's a wild ride. So if you follow us on Instagram, you see we post about our dogs, our family, the kids.
Yeah, I've been tapping in. I did my homework. You guys that's why I said I didn't know Amanda was gonna be on, and I didn't know I was getting the whole package. So I'm thrilled. And yeah, that's awesome. So your connection with Rich is how?
Through his business mastermind group. So it's really about leveling up. For us, it's leveling up our academy business, which kind of goes hand in hand with our senior care business that we already operate. So we knew that there was a need. Actually, it kind of came to us accidentally. We didn't know that we were going to open this academy and help people do what we do, right? Yeah. It kind of happened because we were on somebody else's podcast and people heard about what we do and they're like, I want to learn how to do that. Can you teach me? Sure, why not? Yeah. We have this whole program. So Rich came into the picture when we were trying to grow and scale the academy business, and we're in his what is it called?
Seven-figure creator.
Oh, so you're in there as well. I'm in seven-figure creator as well. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, listen, that's awesome. Rich and I, gosh, we go way back. I don't even know how we connected, but he's been on my show as well, and I've been on his, and we just have stayed in touch, being supportive of his growth. It's really amazing to see who he's able to bring in his life and the people, the quality of relationships he's able to attract. So by default, I knew that this would be a good match. But I'll tell you a little bit of background as to why I'm so interested because I'm a student of the game myself. I learned so many different business models. This is like episode 330 something plus. I started the podcast. Funny, I started a media company before I got into real estate. I first started a podcast to get to learn more about real estate. This was like 10 years ago. And I'm like, what better way to just interview others so I could just get into the proximity? And this is how we got into a very niche is by interviewing someone very similar to this, and then we fell into it. Now we're very locked into our path, but I'm just so curious to see how it kind of I want to also share with my community the level of detail that can go in, and I really want to unpack how you guys fell into this. But I want to say, I don't know, are you guys familiar with like temporary housing? The niche of insurance, that niche in itself. Are you familiar with that?
Not quite.
Okay. So you guys might get a kick out of this because the business that we're in is like, when a tree falls on your home and all state farm, etc., you're an insured policy holder, pipe burst, etc., you are now a displaced policy holder. And what we do as temp housing providers, we started by owning real estate and then managing, and essentially you can call them 4 bedroom, 5 bedroom, single family homes, which is very interesting because when I started looking at your thing, I'm like, oh, interested in like this
Yeah.
senior care living, the kind of niche. We specialize in 4 to 5 bedroom homes because it's a large problem to solve when you have a family of five with two dogs, etc. And we will house on behalf of Allstate, State Farm, you name it, right? But there's these referral partners, which you guys also mentioned in your content, referral agencies that we rely on, which is like the Ailey Solutions of the world. They're basically $100 million businesses that relocate families for a living. And so we partner with those relationships and house them. And then we didn't stop there. We started to source on their behalf as well. So on a month like this, we have like 60 families that we're relocating and we're constantly doing this nationwide. And so, like, when I came across her content, I heard like referral agencies, I heard like licensing, all that. I'm like, this is crazy. Like, I don't know. I've never had anybody on my show around senior living. And I'm like, okay, I want to tap in. I want to learn more. And I want to have your voice being heard on platform. Maybe you guys get some students, maybe get, whatever it is, the 6 degrees of separation. And I didn't want to let the serendipity go to waste. So I feel like there's some level of connection there because it's the riches are in the niches and there was just some similarities that I came across. I was like, this is pretty neat.
Yeah, so the assisted living space, I mean, we've been doing this for 10 years. Okay.
Yeah.
So real quickly, I'll share our story. We I was in automotive my whole life. I worked
Uh-huh.
for Ford and Dodge for over 19 years combined. She was in corporate America. It got to the point where we wanted to just have our own business. As I mentioned,
Yeah.
she comes from an entrepreneurial family, and so do I.
Yeah.
And we didn't want to make somebody else rich the rest of our lives. But more importantly, aside from the money, we wanted to have a family, we wanted to have kids, and
Hmm.
we wanted that time, right? We
Yeah.
wanted to have that financial freedom to do whatever we want whenever we want, right? And so that was the main reason why we started this business. And so we sacrificed our 2,000 square foot home for a 300 square foot ADU in the back 11
Mm.
years ago because the process started 11 years ago, actually 12 now. And so we sacrificed this and we moved into a 300 square foot home with a 1-year-old daughter, two
Yeah.
Labradors.
Mhm.
And 2 years later, we were able to purchase another property, turn it into a facility. For your audience, we are in California. We're in Los
Yeah.
Angeles. And so, yeah, in California, is it business friendly? No. But believe it or not, for assisted livings, it's one of the easiest
Mhm.
from the California government to run one of these and
Wow.
to get licensed and to be able to operate. Yeah, there's a lot of intricacies when it comes to,
Sure.
employees, families, and whatnot, but it is one of the best states to start it in. And so back to our story, here we are, 11 years now that we're in 2026, and we have three facilities, technically four, but it's really three because where we're at right now, this was where it all started, which is her childhood home. So
Wow.
11 years ago, it started in this home, and it always was the goal to move back into this house so that we can raise our kids in her childhood home.
Wow. Okay. There's
Yeah.
layers there. Goosebumps. Okay, so let's unpack this. And we are live, yes. So let's go into this. So
Oh, we're
assist
live. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Now
let's
I gotta watch my mouth.
let's get right into it because I like it when it's a nice free flowing conversation. So um let's unpack this. When you say facilities for my audience who's listening, for even for myself, I don't know this. What is qualifies as a facility? Is it your traditional residential home that is then converted and licensed? I think I heard a lot of different pieces there. I want to make sure we unpack it. You're in the assisted living um, niche, and you mentioned facilities. What qualifies as a facility? How do you get a property qualified as a facility? Let's unpack that so that we can understand how, attainable this niche might be. And I'm assuming that there's a lot of tax advantages and tax breaks, etc., because there is simply a shortage of supply in the marketplace. But let's unpack that.
Yeah, so in California, that's where we specialize in, actually
Mm,
all states, it's a residential setting. So
mm,
California specifically allows you to have six seniors, six residents in a residential setting. You don't have to deal with zoning laws. I could be your next door neighbor and you would never know I was even there. Um, we go through a licensing process and each state has their own regulations. We
yeah.
deal with Department of Social Services who licenses us. We have the city come in to do a fire marshal clearance, and it's the only time they have jurisdiction over the property. Maybe you have to add some egress doors, like safe exits out of the home.
Yeah.
But because we're not a medical facility, this is the biggest misconception in this industry. We are
Mm,
a social model of care, not a medical facility, not a nursing home. I do not employ nurses, doctors, any medical professionals on my payroll, on my staff. So we are a social model of care, which means our residence does not even have to be ADA compliant. So there's no
mm,
special angles of ramps or handrails and things like that. You still want to make the home handicap accessible because we are dealing with seniors who use wheelchairs and walkers and canes who can't walk around freely.
yeah.
But we still want to make it comfortable for them to live in this residence, but it's a residential home. It looks like a home. It smells like a home. It feels like home, without all of that medical equipment around.
Okay, that's thank you for unpacking that, Amanda. Now, I've heard you guys because I had to do my research. You guys are so interesting, and I told you guys I love the niches. And you're quoting, and you guys got to correct me if I'm wrong. RCFE, Residential Care Facility for the Elderly. Is
Correct.
that is that what you just described?
Yeah.
At what point does a single family home qualify or is put into that category as a RCFE? What do I need? Because you touched on it a little bit, and I want to make sure we understand what is the requirement for a residential building to then be qualified under that specific terminology.
Four major requirements. First, an administrator certification. I like to equate this to maybe getting your real estate license. You take an 80-hour course, 100-question exam, open book, super easy. That makes you an administrator to even work in a facility or own a facility.
Mm,
Two, once you have the property, you want to submit a licensing application.
okay.
During that licensing application, we're passing a fire clearance with our city and we're passing a final inspection with the state, and they issue you your license.
Now, this is for California. I just want to make a note here. This is a
Mhm.
California process.
Yeah.
Mm,
Every state has different regulations. Every state will have different capacities. So in California, 6 beds or under, no city can deny you
Mhm.
of opening up an RCFE. When you go above 6 beds, then you need to look for you need to get a conditional use permit with your city. And then you get into the whole zoning and if it's R1, R2, for those people who don't know, R1
yeah.
low
Yeah.
density residential, R2 is mid to high level residential zoning. And so for example, we've been trying to open up a 14 bed in California,
Okay.
go up
Yeah.
to
Which is what I was thinking, because there's a lot of boutique-ish
right.
commercial
Yeah.
slash building. So when you're above that six, now you're saying that's a different category, right?
Right. So if I'm trying to go above the six, go over the six, I need to go to the city. Well, if I'm in an
Mm,
R1 zone, they're not going to allow me. So I need
mm,
to now look for a home in an R2, which is mid to high density, to be able to do that.
Okay.
However, there's a loophole. There's always a loophole to everything.
There's always a little.
There's a solution
If
to every
you
problem.
if you can get a property large enough to put an ADU, and that ADU has a different address, different entrance, you can
Mm,
license that ADU as a facility.
Mhm.
I want to say the numbers like 18, like it's like 1,200 or 1,300 square foot.
hmm
You won't be able to max out your 6 residents, but you'll be able to
hmm
get 4 in there. You're sharing resources, you're sharing the same land. Now you don't have to
mm.
put a down payment to another home. Not only
Interesting.
that, the ADU will increase the value of your property as well. So
Mhm.
we like to use the BRRRR method where we pull money out
Yeah.
of the homes that you're buying. Well, that house, you're not selling it, you're keeping it, you're expanding your portfolio. And your
Yes.
corporation is paying for that property. So the corporation owns it, it's paying for it. There's a whole business structure. All of our students get a call with our CPA who
Yes.
sets up the whole business structure on how to protect these properties as well. And so what happens now is that now you're able to have 2 facilities in one.
That is major. So that's so interesting, and that you're going there too, because the reason I wanted to highlight the who is this for is because when I hear the word facility, I honestly before I when I think of facility, I think of warehouses. That's the first thing that comes in my mind. But then obviously knowing the space that you're in, I'm thinking, okay, definitely commercial, but I think it's really interesting to hear and I think inspiring to hear that very similar to our niche that I talked about offline is you could start with a 4 bedroom. You could start with a 5 bedroom, right? You can start like with a single family home and go through the process to the one that Amanda started to kind of unpack to make sure that you're licensed respectfully in your state to operate as you need to being compliant, right? That's neat. Let me ask you a question on that because the next thing that comes to mind is anytime I think of hospitality or anything of that nature, I'm thinking of guardrails, best practices. What is the ratio? Is there like a square footage ratio to people that can be there? I know I've seen Amanda talk about private rooms versus shared rooms on the on content. Like,
Yeah.
can we talk about that for a second to understand how that works?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we're talking about maybe a 6 bed facility, and that's what we own,
Hmm
I have 2 residents in a shared room. That means they share a bedroom together. Um, we can also have private rooms where it's just 1 resident per private room. When we're talking about charging for these, a shared room will be a little bit lower, a private room a little bit higher, and you can set your rates for these. Um, because we are a social model of care, not a medical model of care,
Mm,
that means we still work with nurses through insurance who come in to take care of the medical needs of our clients. They can go into these shared room spaces and still provide medical care, and our residents still have all the privacy that they need.
okay.
So when you're allowed to have 6 residents per home, then a 3 bedroom house can sometimes be enough for this.
Interesting. And
Yeah.
is there some kind of I'm sure all not all real estate is created equal. Is there what qualifies as a bedroom? Is it your traditional has to have a closet, window, etc., or does it is there kind of like a gray area when it comes to a room? And we've all heard of these different niches that I'm not into where uh, what's it called shared spaces. I think people are doing like room things, dividing
With
walls
the
and all.
dividers and everything, I know what
Yeah, like
you're
so
referring
at
to.
what point, what are the guiding principles around your space when it comes to what is defined as a room?
So we do have to get cleared by a fire marshal who walks through the
Okay.
property. So definitely a window in the room. We're talking about traditional bedrooms.
hmm
You don't want your residents to be in a shoebox either. You want them to have ample space to maneuver
Yeah.
wheelchairs and
Mm,
walkers. Sometimes they need to use, it's called a Hoyer lift. It's almost like a hammock, a sling that carries them from a bed to a wheelchair. So you need room to
mm.
maneuver this type of equipment. So we definitely look at square footage in the room. There is no actual requirement though. The
Oh,
state
interesting.
doesn't roll this out in their law books and say it has
Yeah.
to be like a 12 by 12.
Yep.
One of my smallest rooms is probably a 10 by 12, and I actually have 2 residents in there.
Wow.
So I don't charge as much, or sometimes I can because at the end of the day, I'm not charging per bedroom size. I'm charging for a service. that I provide.
Okay. Experiment Nation, you've heard me talk about how multiple investors across the nation are landing these lucrative midterm rental insurance contracts by making these small tweaks on the branding and marketing side, especially if you're an existing short-term rental operator. There is a quick and easy shift that you can make with the ride guide in place. And because we've launched a 2-day boot camp that not everyone could attend in real time, I've put together a recording where you can get all the materials and all the guides to focus on rebranding either your short-term rental business or your current midterm rental business, so that you can actually have the insurance companies reach out to you. And then day 2 is if you want to actually play offense, how you can reach out to them by listing on the right platforms, etc. If you're looking to get this MTR bootcamp so that you can start optimizing and you can start receiving these lucrative contracts that again provide less headaches, less turnovers, unlike the Airbnb space, you can start receiving inquiries today by having the right guide in place. So please go to experimentrealestate.com/MTR bootcamp or click the link in the bio to make sure you get your hands on this midterm rental insurance bootcamp to fast track your way into landing these lucrative insurance contracts the exact same ways multiple investors have taken advantage of this unknown and untapped niche within the midterm rental umbrella. So you talked about private rooms or shared rooms, 2 different models. Again, it could be different from state to state, but you're saying there's actually who sets that standard? Because now when we start talking about price, I think one of the things I was talking about from our world, on the insurance housing side, there's this coverage D and there's an additional living expense. There's a specific allocated budget for these insured that are displaced. In your world, Boris and Amanda, it's who sets the budget, for lack of better words? Is there like a per diem like what we see on the government side contracts or state and city, or is there like who's setting these guidelines, or do you set the price and see who's willing to bite?
We actually set our own prices. So we don't accept insurance. It's not through Medicare or Medicaid. It kind of can be through Medicaid or Medi-Cal. In California, it's
Lately,
Medi-Cal.
it's changed a little bit. That game's changed a little bit.
So we actually do accept Medi-Cal now, but it wasn't always the case. It's usually private pay. And when I say private pay, what I mean is we're dealing with a population that still has pensions. There's savings. They were purchasing homes when they were $80,000 and now selling them for $800,000. So we have families who pitch in and help support the care needs of the resident. And then there's also long-term care insurance that helps provide for the resident in this type of setting. So because we are licensed, we're allowed to accept all of that. When in terms of setting our rates, it's really what the market rate is. So it's just kind of like you price it like real estate. What did your neighbor sell for? Okay. So what is the going rate in your area? And then we're probably one of the highest in our area because we have the experience and we have the reputation. Okay. So I get to charge a little bit more than most people would. So all of that is really part of like your marketing strategy too. But it's I think there's a lot of parallels to real estate in terms of pricing. It's what do you have to offer and what can you charge? So that's the private pay part of it when we talk about Medi-Cal. So Medi-Cal has caught on and realized that there's such a need for senior care, especially here in California, LA County specifically, where they're actually paying equivalent rates to private pay.
If not more.
Oh, wow.
Sometimes even more, right? So just to throw some numbers out there, rates have gone up in 2026, but the average in 25 for a shared room was $5,000 a month.
Okay, wow, that's interesting. That's per okay, that's interesting. So if, let's say you have a 4-bedroom home.
Yes.
We're saying that, or let's go back to your example. Yeah, you said 6 bedrooms. Is that what you said?
6 residents. So if it's a 4-bedroom home, that's fine because
two times 4, right?
Yeah, you do
eight,
2 shared rooms and then 2 private rooms.
or you could do, yeah, so you could do like a mixed bag. I could have two shared rooms, so I could have four residents,
Yeah,
right? My math good? We're good with
yes,
my math
yes,
today, public math.
okay.
Uh, and then on the other end, if you have two more rooms remaining, right, then you could maybe have two
Private,
residents on the private side. So you could do like a mixed bag, right?
correct.
Yeah, so I'll
Interesting.
share with you. We have like a 5 bedroom home, and we're doing something similar, and I can share those numbers with you.
Yeah.
5 bedroom is going right now. The going rate is 8,000, and
Hmm.
that's either private pay. Most of the time, it's going to be from private pay or from long-term care insurance. So that's 8,000 for a private room. Our shared rooms just went up to 5,750. And so when you put all of that together, you're looking at a gross number of around 39,000. Okay.
That's bananas. And what? And again, really, again, numbers will
Yeah.
differ depending on state, and very similar, right?
Right.
But what? Just for context of someone who's listening, because for me, for everyone, it's like I hadn't done the math before, and I'm like, oh, short-term rentals, this, temporary housing, that, and it's like when you start doing the math, you're like, wait a minute, hold on, right? So typical home like that where you're at, what's the typical overhead? And again, I'm not getting into the additional caregiving stuff because I do want to unpack that. I'm understanding there's maybe other fees to operate the business, but if we're thinking for the actual real estate in itself, what would be a typical overhead in California on this kind of home like that for maybe a mortgage or whatever that you owe?
Yeah, so more it really depends on the city that you're
Hmm.
in. Um,
I mean, like Beverly Hills is not going to,
yeah,
the rate in Beverly Hills is not going to be the same rate as in
Wow.
Norwalk or,
Yeah.
not to talk bad about any city, but just like
Mhm.
real estate, location, location, location.
right.
Sure.
I mean, we've helped several students open up their care facilities. There's mortgages as low as like $5,000. I say
Crazy.
low because that's pretty standard these days,
Yeah.
$5,000 mortgage,
Yeah.
up to $8,000 mortgages.
Yeah. Yeah.
So depending on the city that you're in, of course. But other overhead items that we need to consider, you mentioned one of them, caregiving. So we do hire caregivers, not medical professionals. So just caregivers. The food, any equipment to operate, any activities, utilities, of course.
Insurances.
Insurance, yeah. So we are required to have liability insurance.
Mm.
We love to go a step above that and also get commercial property insurance
Mm.
for our
So like
residents.
if I'm so sorry for
Yeah,
Amanda. So just so I understand, because these are new terms for me
yeah.
and probably my audience. When you say the insurance, I would imagine, is this the business or umbrella policy? Is this damage waiver? Is this someone falls and trips on the property? Is it all of the above? Like what does that insurance entail exactly?
Yeah, so the state of California requires us to hold a liability insurance policy.
Mm.
So this is if there's any accidents that happen with our residents, so that it also protects the state from getting sued.
Oh, interesting.
Right.
Because they could. So wow, there's so much to unpack here.
There's so
It,
many
it's, a, it's
different
a lot.
layers.
Yeah, yeah. So no, this is helpful though. This is
Like
we'll
Greg
put a
said,
bow
it's
on
an
this.
onion.
What's
Yeah.
that? There's onions on every time I ask a
Yeah,
question.
just like
I
Greg
unpack,
said.
so like, oh, hold on. We're opening up at no, but this is good because it's important. We're gonna put a bow on this, I promise. So what's interesting here is you said something about there's two things I heard: private, then I heard you say long-term care insurance. Is that what I heard you say?
Long-term care
Yes.
insurance.
Okay.
Is,
Yes.
is that state? I don't know anything about long-term care insurance. Is that like a state thing or is that like a private thing?
It's a private thing.
Okay.
So private pay means, let's say you're bringing your loved one to me.
Yep.
Private pay means you write me a check at the beginning of the month for whatever amount that room you're getting. So let's just say 5,000, just a simple math.
Yep.
5,000, and you figure out where those 5,000s are coming from. Whether it's from, your loved one's pension,
Mhm.
whether it's from savings, whether you sold their property, whether they get Social Security, because we will not, that's one thing we will not
Not
accept,
getting.
direct Social Security,
Right.
because whatever Social Security pays them, that's all that you by law are allowed to take. And so if that was the case, we would close our doors in the first 3 weeks.
Oh.
So
And that would also, you wouldn't have a you wouldn't be able to forecast because that's very dependent on the
Right.
situation
Correct.
of the person. Okay, interesting.
Even
Okay.
their max is ridiculous. I think it's 1600 or something. Like, there's no way I would keep
Yeah.
my doors open for 1600 for six people.
Yeah.
Um, so then there's long-term care insurance. Okay. Long-term care insurance, you purchase that from a provider like New York Life. I know they're the main ones. There's some other ones there.
Auto. It's like an auto
Yeah,
insurance,
it's like
but
auto
it's
insurance.
for your health.
Hmm.
Now, you get that when you turn 50. Around 50, I really recommend everybody gets it because I always make this analogy. I always talk about how people think retirement is flip-flops and shorts in the Bahamas. No,
Yeah.
retirement is somebody changing your diaper. Like, that's the reality of things. Okay.
Yeah.
And just to put more context into this, for someone to come into your home right now and
Hmm.
take care of a loved one 24 hours a day,
Mm.
it starts at a minimum 20 to $30,000.
Bananas.
Number
Yeah.
two, if you go to the big box facilities, you're looking at anywhere from 8 to 10,000. God forbid you go to a skilled nursing facility, 50,000 a month.
Mhm.
And
Those are all tier. I feel like you're moving up in tiers
They're
of
all
like
they're different,
service,
yeah.
quality, you name it,
not
right?
necessarily quality,
Oh.
not necessarily quality.
Yeah, it's just because it's a medical facility, they can charge whatever they need to because they have medications on hand. But not
Mm.
everybody needs that type of care.
So it's all depending on how well we're retiring into the, yeah, or how well we
Exactly.
are. Okay.
Right.
And so
Wow.
that's what long-term care insurance is. And then for low-income seniors are the programs that are being rolled out that Amanda spoke about that we're teaching our students how to utilize. California is great at throwing money into the problem, and senior care is a crisis nationwide.
Yeah.
And so when I say that California is doing a good job at noticing that, and I hope they're a pioneer for the rest of the country for low-income seniors. Because at
Mm.
the end of the day, our advocacy is to get more beds for seniors nationwide as much as possible. There's going to be by 2030 when it's projected to be the majority of baby boomers are going to come into the age of care, which is 65. There's going to be a shortage of a minimum of 500,000 beds.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So I know I
That's
went on a
no, no,
different,
no. This
but
is
yeah,
great. This is that silver tsunami thing that we've been
it
talking
That's
is.
about,
it.
That's
right?
exactly
That's
what it is.
exactly.
Damn. Everybody's getting it.
Yeah.
Uh, wow. Okay, so going back to the whole the state doesn't want to be liable if someone help me connect the dots on that because that was interesting and I feel like it's important and I don't want to have it go over our heads. What is
Yeah,
that?
absolutely. So the state does require that we hold liability insurance for any
Hmm.
accidents that may happen in the home with a resident.
Okay.
So we are basically acting as like that filter before it goes over our heads because we are licensed by the state of California. So it is a requirement from the department. We deal with Department of Social Services. It is a requirement from the Department of Social Services to even hold a license that we must have this liability insurance and not just, get it the first year that we open doors, but that we maintain it year after year as well. And they do confirm and check that we have it in place.
Yeah, for sure. Good standing, right?
Yes.
How much can that go for just for context so we have a ballpark?
Like how much is the coverage
Yeah,
or
is that oh
how
yeah,
much, like
let
what
me
the
ask
monthly fee is?
yeah, I'm sorry, let me ask a question maybe in a better, more clearer way. Is this an insurance per property, per entity, per like what how does that
Oh,
insurance come into play?
it's per license and each license is per property. So it's,
Ah,
And
mhm.
it's
interesting.
actually not that expensive. You would
It's
think that
not.
it's very expensive. It's only
No.
like a couple $100 a month.
A couple
Yeah.
hundred bucks. Oh yeah. So cool. Got it. And now let me understand this. This is such great information. You Amanda, you continue to go back to social model of care and then you talk about liability. Okay,
Yeah.
so it sounds like there's multiple vendors that you can be involved with because you've stressed on the fact that you're not a medical facility,
Mhm.
but then you mentioned caregivers and then you mentioned, nurses, right? I think I may have heard that and then
Yeah.
you mentioned activities. So can we talk about the third parties involved and how they integrate in your business
Mhm.
and how, yeah, how does it all kind of come together?
Yeah, so let me talk a little bit more about what exactly is a social model of care. So,
Mm-hmm.
in a residential setting, we are only responsible for what's called activities of daily living, which is grooming, medication management, which is, passing medications, ordering medications for our residents, feeding, whether it's, they're able to feed themselves independently or we help assist them in
Mm,
feeding, diaper changes, toileting needs, activities, socialization,
mm.
arranging transportation to and from medical appointments. So what we have is caregivers on duty. Our caregivers are responsible for not just the care of the residents in the home, but also maintaining the property as well. So they're cooking, they're cleaning, they're doing the laundry, and then they're doing resident care. I know it sounds like a lot, but we have our day-to-day structured where everybody works as a team and it's not as overwhelming as we make it seem. What we work with to bring in the medical assistance that we need is either home health or hospice companies, and all of those are prescribed through their primary care physician and paid for by insurance like Medicare or Medi-Cal.
Okay.
Yes.
So let me ask you this. I am a resident. Is that what you would call me? A resident in your one of your
Yes, if you
properties?
live in my facility, you're a
Yes.
resident.
Okay, so I'm a resident in one of your property and I'm in one. I'm bougie. I'm high maintenance. My wife says I'm the high maintenance one, by the way, just so you know. So I want a private. I love that. Let's point at each other. If you guys are listening to this, they just Boris and Amanda both pointed at each other. I know I take the blame. My wife be like, Ruben's high maintenance. Because God forbid I want what I order at a restaurant and because I'm paying for it. It's like, is that too much to ask for? Anyways, I
I was
digress.
pointing at Amanda because that's what she says about me.
Him.
So you and I are we're very similar.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
like I'm paying for it. So,
Yeah. Right?
but right? So, so get this. I'm high maintenance. I have a private room, and me, the resident, I want maybe again. I'm just putting this out there, and you guys can correct me on this, right? And I apologize for this because I'm here. And so I want my private chef because it ain't tricking if you got it, right? Um, and I apologize because I have this on Do Not Disturb, and I'm still getting sounds here. So let me
I
close
can't
this
hear
up.
a thing. You're fine.
You're
Okay,
good.
perfect. So, uh, so I'm high maintenance. I want a private chef, but then I also maybe have a nurse of my liking through a service that I go through. Who's controlling that? Because this is your residence. Do I get to have my a la carte service as a resident, or no? Because I'm staying at the Palominos facilities, right? And you guys have your own catered services that only I can choose from living at the residence. Which one is it, or is it a mixed bag?
You can definitely have a mixed bag. If you've got the budget for it, you want to have your private chef, you want to have catered meals in, you want to have your own companion come and sit bedside with you. Absolutely, but it's all on your dime.
Mm,
We
okay.
provide a standard level of care and service for all of our residents. If it's anything above and beyond, which we've had before, absolutely, you can certainly do all of those things as long as you're aware that you carry the cost of all of those extra services.
And also, I'm
Oh,
going to add one more thing. Um, those providers, maybe not the companion itself, if you're paying for the companion, but anything extra that you are paying for, you have to show payroll, you have to show workers' comp, and you have to show the all of the liability paperwork to make sure that anything that they do, anything that happens, it's on them, not on us in our facility.
So we are all about, like, if you haven't figured it out yet, so Boris and I, we're not just about like running care facilities, we're also about protecting our ass as business owners here in California,
100%.
And
right?
that's one of the main things that we teach our students,
Yeah.
right? We go over with them on how to protect their assets, how to protect themselves as much as possible, right?
Right.
At the end of the day, you can be 100% protected,
Hmm.
but if you do things the right way, more times than not, you put layers of protection in your
Yeah.
business as you would in your home. You're it's going to make it harder for somebody to, fraudulently try to come after you.
Yeah, yeah,
We're also teach our students how to run their payroll part correctly, how to abide by all of the law so that your employees are paid correctly. All of that is part of what we teach our students as
yeah.
well.
A lot of structuring for sure. I can hear that because there's layers. And I guess where I was going with that, Boris and Amanda, right, is reason I went there with the mixed bag slash hybrid, I'm high maintenance is because when you said caregivers, I can imagine that either there's already an existing relationship of if I come in a residence, I'm curious, hey, you guys have a caregivers? Oh, you guys offer that? Great, because I was hoping I wasn't gonna have to hunt for that, right? Like if I'm coming in or maybe now I'm doing it for a loved one,
Yeah.
if I come to you like I said, if I'm high maintenance, it's also convenient for me as a loved one for my resident that's going to be there in your home that maybe you already do have these existing relationships and I don't even have to go search elsewhere. So is that also part of what you guys offer where you're trying to align with the right third parties to then also offer it as I don't know if you would call it an upsell. Like what does that look like? Is it through you guys or is it more of like here are vendors we've worked with, you call them?
No, so we hire our own caregivers.
Oh, okay.
They are our employees. We train them on our day-to-day, our blueprint of how we run our homes.
Mm-hmm.
So we are responsible for the caregivers in the home, and then our residents move in whenever we have vacancies. We'll have a resident move in and they get acclimated to their environment.
Okay.
Um, Regarding like, your bougie chef as your example,
Mm.
oftentimes we do have newer families come in and say, okay, well, dad likes X, Y, and Z, so we're going to pay out of pocket for these services.
Mm.
And they quickly realize that they don't need to. We are a small home. We have
One
six.
stop shop, right?
Yes, we
It's a
have.
boutique. Think of
So,
like a boutique
yes, that's
style.
exactly it.
Gotcha.
Able to customize a lot of the services we provide, even the
Mm.
meals. You only have six residents and there's 7 days in a week. If he likes hamburgers every Tuesday, why can't we incorporate that into our menu so he gets,
Wow.
right?
As long as we don't get crazy with lobster, caviar, and stuff like that. But I just feel sorry for whoever's going to take care of me. That's all I can say.
That's awesome. Well, that's so interesting. So, I mean, there's so many areas. So, thank you for clarifying that because it helps you guys are really curating an experience for the elderly, right? And, and by the way, please correct me because I want to make sure I'm speaking professionally of what you guys, right? RCFE, um, 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 uh, assisted living, right? That whole umbrella, you guys are providing everything under the sun from your experience 10 years plus of doing this of like we know these are things our residents are going to need, etc., therefore we're going to bake it in there, right? um so in our world, I think we were talking about, in the world of hospitality you got cleaners, etc., but you guys are taking the additional, you have the caregiving, you have all that you bring in-house, so you kind of the blueprint matches with the brand. It's consistent. It's trusted, vetted, trained individuals to make sure that that reputation and the brand recognition is the same across all properties. Am I right?
Right. I'm going to add one more thing. As Amanda went over the process of becoming an administrator. So,
Mm-hmm.
as an administrator in California, you are allowed to train your caregivers. And so,
Mm.
and then when a caregiver comes in or a new employee comes into our facility, they're required by law to go over 40 hours of training.
Mhm.
After that is 20 hours of training each year. That training we're able to provide. We also are partnered with a great company that provides online training for our caregivers as well.
Nice.
And so not only do we have that, we have an administrator that helps us now. We just got somebody to help us out because it becomes a lot of work once you
Oh
expand,
yeah.
right? And so
Yeah,
then you
yeah.
bring the right people in to help you out.
Mhm.
But we're constantly speaking to our staff. We're very involved in our facilities.
Mm-hmm.
We don't physically have to be there all the time, which is the beauty of it. It
Yeah.
gets to a point where you don't have to be there 24/7. You
Yeah.
put the right people in place. And
Mhm.
so once they're trained and they're doing their job and it just they fall into the processes and procedures that we've had, it's really, really nice because not only does it help us, but the residents are calm, they're at peace. It really helps them to know that there's a certain routine every single day in the homes. And all three homes are essentially ran exactly the same way.
Yeah. Copy paste once you've got the proof of
Oh
concept, right?
yeah, it's so
Yeah.
Yeah.
easy. after that.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about that, right? Because someone who's listening, who's like, wait, hold on, this is super interesting. First of all, I want to make sure they tap in with you guys because I always love it when you have an integrated business where you're doing the thing, you walk the walk and also talk the talk. And so you're able to create a community out of it. I'm really passionate about that and creating an education because, without education, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing, and without all the help of other business owners doing the thing, not just talking about it, which I
Yeah.
found very valuable. Um, if I'm listening to this bare bones and before I even enter one of your education platforms, just based on what you just said, it sounds like okay, first find the right property. Number two, and you guys please correct me if I'm wrong, right? Get the licensing. Is that the next step? And then after that, start building your team. And if you were to name bullet points, high level, what are the things you're gonna need? Is it first finding the right real estate location, and the asset type, right? It doesn't have to be ADA compliant, but make sure it meets those criteria. What are those criteria that you're looking for, A? And then B, what are the next steps, right? You get the license, etc. You do all that. Then talk about okay, who are the bare bones folks you would need, right? Short-term rentals, it's you gotta have a cleaner, you gotta have you gotta have a handyman. What is it that you guys look for first as a priority that kind of helps build the entire core of this team? It would be helpful to just hear that. And of course, we can't cover everything in this one call that we had, but I would love for you whoever's listening to tap in with your community. But like, what is that at a high level?
I'll let you talk about the property.
Okay, so I'm about to give you guys, so all your listeners, I hope you guys have pen and paper.
Yeah.
I always say this. I'm about to give you guys some free game right now.
Yeah.
What is the ideal property? What does it look like?
Mm,
Here we go. Number one story. If you have to go 2 stories, make sure that most of the bedrooms are downstairs.
fascinating. We say the same thing, by the way.
Yeah.
So
Same
if
thing.
if it's a 2 story majority, you're out. Done.
Yeah.
Number two, you want to make sure that it's at least 3 bedrooms, 2 bathroom, 1,500 square foot minimum. That's at the bare minimum. Any smaller, you run into the issues we spoke about with the bedrooms. You
Mm,
don't have enough space in the bedrooms. Is it doable? Yes. But is somebody going to come and tour your facility and say, this is smaller? Joe, Granny's house down the street is a little bit bigger. You want to be able to sell your property as much as possible and give as many amenities as possible, just like the hospitality industry, right?
yeah.
So, next thing, preferably, you want to be around hospitals, the large assisted living facilities, because what's going to happen, and one thing we have even spoken about is memory care and dementia, which is huge in our industry,
Wow.
huge.
Yeah.
And so you want to be next to the large assisted living facilities because a lot of the times they won't be able to care for them anymore. And now they need higher care. That's where we come in.
Wow.
We are allowed to care for dementia patients. We're actually trained for dementia patients.
Yeah.
Wow.
Majority of our residents have some sort of dementia. And just to give you guys a little bit more knowledge, dementia, think of it as an umbrella. There's strands of it. So
Mm,
Alzheimer's is a type, Parkinson's is a type. So there's a lot of different types of dementia. And so you want to be around those large facilities because they're going to get to a point where they need higher levels of care.
yeah.
Hospitals, clinics, rehab centers for discharging, right? So that is your ideal property. And you want to make sure that's in a decent area. You don't want an area where it's like crime infested
Yeah.
and whatnot. So for our students, we always do a full market analysis. We always make sure that whatever property they're going to purchase, they send it to us first for an analysis before they even put a bid on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is awesome. I love this.
Uh,
You nailed it, and it's so interesting because whoever is in the niche that we're in, it's the exact same blueprint, and we're always keeping in mind the elderly in the blueprint. The exact same thing that you said, Boris, about the home should be accessible. We had a family of two move into a 5 bedroom just because there was enough space to get the walker in. We installed grab bars. I mean, and it was a ranch style home. Like it's just the same. And if you're gonna have front steps, a front door, make sure you have a carport entrance that has no steps. Like we just
Yeah.
that
Or a ramp.
right, a ramp. So it's just you couldn't make this up, and that's part of the reason why I reached out because I'm like, You couldn't. This is incredible. It's just very similar.
Yeah.
Success leaves trails, right? And clues, and it's the same blueprint. We talked about the real estate. Thank you, Boris. Now the next thing that I think Amanda was helping us unpack was like the team. And I heard a few things. Caregivers, we didn't talk much about the activities, but maybe bare bones, high level approach as well. Who do you need first? Who would you actually hire first? Or in retrospect, maybe when you're building your team.
A mentor, a good mentor. But then I'll take it from there.
That is always top of the list. Invest in your mind in a good mentor first. And I
Oh,
think you guys are very qualified to be on the show talking about this.
you know,
Once you invest in the right mentors, who else is next?
there aren't very many in this space. Boris and I had to figure it out the
Yeah.
hard way. And our very first hire was an experienced caregiver. And
Wow.
it really helped us lay down the structure of our home.
Mm,
We changed so many things after the fact, but we had zero experience with senior care going into this. In fact, my daughter was barely a year old. I had 1 year experience changing diapers. Prior to that, like that's a baby diaper too, right? I had zero senior care experience whatsoever. So hiring a caregiver with experience as your first hire is going to be key.
yeah.
Eventually, you hire with zero experience. And that's what Boris and I love because we love to train people the way we like to do things on our
Oh, it's hard to
behalf.
train what is it? An old dog new tricks? Is that what
There
it
you
is?
go. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like now if somebody comes in,
Wow.
I already know how to do it and they're doing it completely different than how we've set up. I'm like, oh gosh, no, you need to sit down and take notes
That's
first.
so interesting. I've never heard that. You know what's so fascinating about that? That's helpful because there's always different insights you can get. In
Yeah.
my eyes, I always thought, okay, you hire people almost like kind of did Bill Gates say this or was it Steve Jobs said, we hire people not to tell them what to do, we hire people so they can tell us what to do. But on your hand, you're saying, hold up, nope, we have a system in place. We want you to learn it our way. But it sounded like you first had to have someone to guide you on how to do it the right way, which was your first caregiver. And now you're
Yeah.
like, this is the blueprint that we're going to implement. Forget what you learn it any elsewhere. This is what you do, copy paste, right?
Yes, and the main reason for that, and Boris
Mm-hmm.
touched on it, we care for residents with dementia.
Mm.
So whatever our routine is, it's so important that we follow it on a day to day because we're trying to reduce the level of anxiety in our home,
Yeah.
agitation in our home. We want to make it as comfortable of an environment as we possibly can for the seniors in our home.
Yeah.
When we talk about even activities, we've got some residents who love like loud activities, a lot of music, a lot of things, commotion going on in the room. There's bingo, there's Jenga, there's memory games, music.
Karaoke.
Yeah, there's all sorts of
Mm.
activities that we do in the home. But then we have others who shy away from it and say, I just want to sit in my room, watch TV, and
Mm.
read a book because I lived by myself for 10 years and I don't like making friends. I
Oh,
used to
interesting.
like sitting here watching The Price is Right for 10 years in a row, right?
Yeah.
And that's okay. You get to customize that for each resident in
Wow.
type of setting. Um, what we talk about when we're going back to caregivers, all we look for now, the caregiver with experience, the caregivers with no experience, as long as you have two caregivers on duty during the hours that your residents are typically awake. And
Yeah.
overnight, you don't need more than one caregiver overnight.
Okay, and that's another thing we need to talk on. Do you have to have like a caregiver 24/7, like always on watch?
Yeah. So
Okay,
yeah,
interesting.
you always need to have somebody in the facility on duty. Um, it, this industry actually allows you to have a live-in caregiver as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say at that point, but I
Yeah,
guess they couldn't sleep when everyone else is sleeping. You would have to have like a night shift person, right?
They can. If
They
you ever
can?
work with a caregiver, you can.
hmm
If done properly and structured correctly, and you're following the laws and you're in compliance,
Yes,
absolutely, they can be asleep. Now, when you apply for your license, you have to let DSS know that you have live-in caregivers or 24-hour care,
right.
24-hour awake staff. So two of our homes have live-in caregivers. One of them has 24-hour awake staff. And it's good to have a mix because if you, let's say you have an opening and the resident is awake all hours of the night. Well, if you have live-in caregivers, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot. You can't accept them. So then you can put them in the 24-hour awake staff home.
Yeah.
So you leave your options open.
Wow.
There,
Very interesting.
yeah, there's definitely some highs and lows of doing the live-in caregiver model.
Mm.
We have both models. We have 3 facilities. We kind of figure out what works best. My facilities that have the live-in caregiver model, my residents have been with us for a long time. They don't wake up at night. They're asleep, at really calm environments. And so it works out really great. However, I do have the home that has the awake night staff. And it's like a full moon every night in that house, right? There's always something happening at night. Somebody has to use the restroom every hour, or
Wow. Okay. And
awake and
Or
like
something.
pressing their.
I'm assuming, Amanda and Boris, sorry, I just want to make a comment on what you just said. I'm assuming you guys are taking so much information in intake form to figure out, like, it's almost like KYC, know your customer, right? And
Yes.
what are the tendencies? You wake up in the middle of the night, do you sleep? And I would almost imagine if something changes over time, you might be able to say, hey, do you want to be moved to this facility, which
Right.
might be, wow,
You
okay.
reserve the right to move residents.
Yeah.
That's why doing a proper assessment of the resident, not just a resident. I'm going to give you more game right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The families.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Biggest issue is
Mm.
always going to be the family, not the resident. So when you're screening for a resident, yeah, there's a lot of things that we look for, that, behavioral issues, things that we look for that would disqualify them because we're very selective on who we accept in
Right.
our homes.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, as well as our mentorship program, but in our homes, we're very, very selective. And next is the family. If we see a lot of red flags with the family,
Mm.
they're not coming in. So
Yeah.
if they say, hey,
It's like you're marrying the family as well, right? So,
They
yeah,
really are. And
yeah.
that's
yeah.
any industry. I
Yeah.
mean,
If they
Yeah.
say this is my grandpa Ruben, he's very bougie, that's already a red flag.
Yeah. Because he's, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just kidding. But no, we do look for things like that where, like, a lot of the times the families are in denial, where,
Yeah.
you know, Grandpa Ruben used to be bougie and now he doesn't care. And now as the family's demanding things that the resident no longer cares for.
Yeah.
And so that becomes an issue.
it's
Wow.
honestly, it really just comes down to, are we able to provide that level of care and service and be honest about it, right? Are we able to do that for you? Yes, we can do that every day, no problem. Or no, we can't. And I'm sorry, this isn't the right facility for you.
Yeah.
We have
Yeah.
turned down a lot of
Yeah.
families, unfortunately. But then we say, look, we can help you,
But
but then refer them to a referral
yeah,
that
who can? Yep.
who can.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
You always, yep.
yeah, and that's why you work for referral agencies too, because a lot of times they know what homes are able to
Right.
accept.
Exactly.
Let me ask you that. I'm glad you went there, and hopefully, man, I want to make sure I give you the allotted time that you needed. You said, I know we were talking about caregivers as like one of the main core foundational, but when I think of the logistics of what you guys are doing, I mean, we have a cleaning crew, we have landscaping, I mean, we have so many things. So just so we cover it at a high level, you have the caregiver. Do you also have and it could be 24/7 or in house living, right? I think we talked about that. Do you also have periodic cleaning? I would assume, right? Cleaners or
Our
that.
caregivers maintain the properties for
Oh,
us.
interesting. So it's a hybrid. Okay, so that's good to know. That's interesting. So you wouldn't have to have a separate crew.
No.
Caregiver would also be responsible for cleaning the counter space, vacuuming, cleaning. Interesting. So that's good to know. Then who else is in the role that is not traditional for any other industry you've heard of outside of the caregivers and the activities? Is that like a third party that comes in, or the caregivers doing the activities? Like, who else is involved?
No, it's our caregivers who are doing all of
Oh,
the
okay.
activities with our residents.
Mhm.
They are truly the heart of the home.
Okay.
And then we get to allow volunteers to come in as well.
Yeah.
So Volunteers can be my daughter's Girl Scout troop who comes in and sings off-tune Christmas
That's
carols
nice.
for the
Yeah.
senior. It could be your high school band wants to come and practice songs with your seniors, and half your seniors are like this, because it's off key, but they don't care.
Yeah.
Or you can hire professional musicians, which we've done and still
Nice.
do, and they come in and play beautiful music for our residents. Um, the best one, actually, he just went to work today, is our family pet. He was trained as a therapy dog. He's officially an employee and a
No way.
right off. You kind of touched on.
I was gonna say that. I was like, oh, I was thinking about that in my head. That's
He
crazy. Tax write-off.
We
Crazy.
post him on our social media all the time,
Yeah.
and he is a trained therapy dog who goes
Yeah.
and visits and spends time with our residents in the home. And so that's also an activity that we get to provide.
That's awesome. Now I want to be mindful of your time because now we're wrapping up here. But two quick things that came up when I was doing my homework and I was getting so intrigued with this industry. One, you mentioned the referral agencies. One thing I was going to ask you, outside of getting mentorship through you guys, and I know you guys had to learn the hard way, and you built kind of your whole empire with this. Who is the avatar? You kind of touched on it. There's family, there's I was gonna ask, are the referral agencies where you would you also talked about having maybe larger facilities nearby that you could funnel some of their leads. Every business needs lead generation. Where does your actually come from? Is the avatar the actual resident, or there's actually another third party involved that you'd be best interest getting aligned with to get a flow of business?
It's the children of the resident. They are the ones on social media. They are the ones out in our
Mm,
community events, at the local churches. The resident
wow.
themselves, they're at home. They
Yeah.
probably can't even leave home anymore.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
all in a nursing home. They have no idea they even need care. They just want to stay.
Mm,
So it's the children of the resident. You mentioned the referral agencies and the hospitals. So yes, we definitely work with referral agencies, case managers or social workers at hospitals and nursing homes. We do a lot of community events at the local senior center or even our local church. We get residents from Instagram too, where they
mm,
see us and our family, and we've already built trust. But that's with the children of the resident. They're
yeah.
the ones on social media. They're on Facebook.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, and I'm sure there's many different ways to get in front of them, which I'm sure has a whole marketing leg when it comes to that. Last question. We talk about taxes. I always say, you can win, offense wins games, right? Defense wins championships, right? That's how I look at the tax code. I'm assuming there's a lot of different city, government, state grants of some kind. Because when I hear that there's a shortage of supply, I got to think that there's got to be some incentives for getting into this business model. What can you share are some incentives? I know you talked about the pet, which is really cool. And I'm sure again, getting family involved is always really neat too, in your children at some point. But what are some of the tax advantages that you've kind of uh, gotten a taste of, or built awareness of, during your time building this business, in this niche?
Is that a you?
Is that a me question?
You want to take it? Go
I
for
guess.
it.
Go for it. So I would say that there's a lot of advantages. There's huge advantages that other businesses aren't able to take advantage of.
Yeah.
Right? The tax code was really written for entrepreneurs to start businesses and to stimulate the economy.
Amen.
Ours is very, very good because not only do you have the real estate, you're
Yeah.
able to include your family, as you mentioned. I'm able to include my dog. I'm able to, purchase the vehicles under the corporation. So
Nice.
I'll give you an example. Under the new law, the new bill, you're able to pay your children up to $15,000 per year.
Yeah.
They have to work, whether it's shredding papers, putting orders like my daughter. You guys will see it on my Instagram page. There's a conversation with my daughter about business. She puts orders in for me. They do a bunch of stuff. My son does too. Guess
Yeah.
what? They're employees of the company. So now when we have a trip, as long as it's documented, as long as we are spending an hour, 2 hours doing meetings, board meetings, a portion of that could be written off. Credit cards, a huge hack. We were just in Europe for 3 weeks last year, and I flew my entire family, business class. The entire trip cost me like 2,000-3,000 round trip. Why? Because I'm able to utilize credit cards, not only like the Visas or the MasterCard, but more importantly the Amex.
Yeah.
The way you use it, use your
Points.
point, utilize it. That's a big thing too, right? So
Yeah.
it's not just taxes, it's how to utilize other people's money. This is one thing
Yes.
to teach our students. Use other people's money. That's a mistake we made for the longest time. And so there's so many tax benefits and write-offs. Depreciation is huge.
Yes.
Vehicles, right? Our vehicles, with the new bill, you can take 100% depreciation now.
Yeah.
There's so many
Segregation. I mean, you name it. You can do a lot. The heavy vehicles, I know you getting those SUVs, right? Going from facility to facility, right? Everything. That's fascinating, and it's really cool to see the principles of real estate that we've learned. When I say we, it's the audience has been tapped in, but from a different lens, from the lens of assisted living. It's fascinating to see some of the similarities and some of the differences as well. And this is like really enlightening for me, and I was really fired up. I was telling my wife Selena, I'm like, this is an exciting episode because I think if I can bring some enlightenment to anybody who's listening to tap in with you both, Amanda and Boris here, it's just you don't know what you don't know, and you're just, as I always say, one experiment away. And I think this is how we got into it. It was when we first got into the hospitality, it was episode 92. We had a gentleman who introduced us to hospitality. And then later on, it was temporary housing. And then that opened up this whole niche of insurance housing. Hopefully, you got a lot of insight and value from this. I know I did by being in this building a business on top uh, of a real estate model. I always love that vertical integration because I think you get the benefits of being a real estate investor and also building a business on top of it. And I think you guys are it sounds like you're just getting warmed up. As the best has yet to come. So I'm looking forward to hearing more about what you guys are doing, and you're building a community, which I know is huge in this space to be able to refer business, help other people. Bring it comes full circle. So you guys are doing it the right way, and I want to give you your flowers. And you guys look good, man. What's the secret, man? What's going on, man? You guys got to let me know what you guys are doing. What's going on, man?
You want the PG or the real one?
Listen, man, I'll hit the off record button, then you guys can give me all the gems. But no, thank you. I want to make sure I give your flowers on the air. Amanda and Boris Palomino, thank you so much, you guys, for spending the time with me. I reached out to Boris. I'm used to just reaching out to people who I'm really inspired by. I'm like, this is really neat. And Boris, you replied right away, which I wouldn't expect anything less. And so I appreciate you guys spending the hour with me. This was super fun. I had a good time.
Thank you, Ruben.
Now, with that said, I want to give an opportunity for everybody to tap in. You talked about the education. I think that is one layer of success is you don't have to start on your own, right? If there's a proof of concept out there, I'm a big believer of that, and you guys know in my community. So if someone wants to tap in with your community, can you tell me a little bit more about it? I want to give you guys an opportunity. You give us a whole hour here of a masterclass. There's plenty more where that came from. How can people get in touch with you? What is your mastermind called? How can we, link up? If I hear this, I'm like, I want more. Where do I go?
Absolutely. So you can find us on Instagram. I'm under the Amanda Palomino, Boris V. Palomino. Our academy is called Palomino Senior Living Academy.com. You can search for us there as well, or they're linked in our bio. And what we offer is one-on-one mentorship in addition to the community and some pre-recorded modules and things like that in the school platform. But you really get us one-on-one, and we don't have a team. So who you see is who you get.
This
and
is the
that's,
team.
yeah. And you get to learn from all of our mistakes. And trust me, we've made plenty of them over the past 10 plus years.
Yeah. And standing on the shoulders of giants with receipts to show. So with that said, the Palominos, just like that, guys, you heard it. They are here. They are here to serve. In service, we are out. Experimentation. I believe there are two critical components that will help you achieve your goals very quickly and succeed. Number one, it's information like this that you received on a show, in an episode, and content that you can find on my YouTube channel or anybody's channel. And then there's a community. And the way we've been able to expedite our process, the way people in our community, people that we consult, mastermind members, whoever, they get the information on an episode like this, but then they also have the support, whether it's me guiding them or being guided through a community. There is an opportunity for you listening to be able to expedite your process or even expedite your results that you're seeking by being in part of the community. If that is what you're interested in, we at Experiment Nation happen to have a community devoted to helping maximize your occupancy and your profitability altogether, regardless of which market that you are in. And for that reason, you have an opportunity where you can go to experimentrealestate.com/submit if you're looking to work in an environment that can help you prosper faster. Call out any areas that you might not be familiar in, especially the blind spots. That's where a guide comes in hand, and I would be a pleasure and honor to be your guide. But in order to make sure you're a good fit, make sure you go to experimentrealestate.com/submit so that my team can go ahead and take it and see if you're a good fit to join the mastermind and the multiple programs that we have. In addition to that, I'm also now a YouTube partner, which means that I want to give you more access to information, more access to Q&As, more access to the questions that actually come out of our mastermind to help people expedite the process. We've seen people get anywhere from $4,000 to $5,000 to $6,000 to even $7,000 a month net on just one door by applying the strategies that we use by working with corporations and furnished accommodation in a very strategic way. So if you're interested, make sure you also subscribe, because I'm going to have different tiers that's on YouTube now that we've become YouTube partner, to continue to be the bridge to your success in your lab. And your lab means your life, your goals, or wherever you're trying to head. So make sure you also hit the subscribe button on my YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/real estate experiment. We'll be there. You can also look us up at Midterm Rental Insurance Experiment. We will be there. Make sure you hit the subscribe, because that's when you'll know the tiers that are available to you that make sense for you, your marketplace, for your results. Remember, you're only one experiment away. Let's build.